Well, hello, fellow wargamers and history buffs, and welcome to another tutorial on the Battles of the Age of Reason. This is a game series published by Clash of Arms, and in fact, they're coming out with a new game, first one in
That's
quite a
right.
while, probably about 4 or 5 years now. This is the Battle of Quebec. And so I am joined once again by my friend, Michael McAlpin, who is our resident Battles of the Age of Reason expert, at least
Yep.
among the three people that are playing it on any given
And
Sunday
and
night.
and a bar expert too, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
multiple bars, multiple bars. Yes, Battles of the Age of Reason, and
But yeah,
you know,
but not an attorney. So
no,
that's not that
exactly,
bar. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we are going to be continuing on with the tutorial series that we had started a month or two ago. I think the first one we had done, it was um, looking at infantry, how infantry
Right.
movement and combat and activation, all that good stuff happened.
Using
And then,
scenario one from Prague.
yep, using scenario one from Prague. And then our second one was looking at cavalry, how they move and combat and all that jazz using scenario two from Prague.
Right.
And today's episode, we wanted to kind of put together a bigger look at how you're playing an entire battle. So instead of just kind of dealing with maybe a few formations, now we're going to be looking at a big battle. In this case, it's the Battle of Prague. And we're actually starting off with some of the elements from a saved vassal game. Michael and David Plock and myself played Prague. What was it, like 2 years ago, maybe now?
It was 2023 was the date on the file that I opened.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
yeah.
about 2 years ago. Since then we've played Kolin and Zorndorf, and then what did we play most recently after Zorndorf? We played
Lobositz twice.
Lobositz. Yeah, we played Lobositz twice
And and
because
and
it's
now
so
our
nice.
and now our blind Germantown.
And now, yes, definitely blind Germantown.
Right.
So yeah, so you'll have a chance to see. Yeah, there's our regular friend Grim Harbinger, who, while we can't remember anything, he remembers. Oh yeah, it was
Oh,
Lobositz. Yeah. So I'm
that's
I'm
very
glad our
kind of
fans
you.
are paying attention.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of times that I know that I don't always pay attention.
Well, he's not
So
quite the
yeah,
bar
so
expert.
yes, exactly. He's definitely a bar expert. He lives in Great Britain, so he's got
Hmm.
to be a pub expert. We'd have to come up
At
with a different.
least. At
So
least.
we're going to be looking at that and kind of overall talking about you as an army commander when you're dealing with a larger scenario. How do you prioritize what you're going to be doing? How do you select maybe which activations to do and which ones to hold back on? And then kind of maybe do some of the mechanics just so it gets reinforced. But we're taking a little bit more of a step back and
Right.
looking more maybe at the decision making processes and kind of how that works, how the rules might force you to behave one way or the other depending on the scenario and the
I
situation.
I recall when I had really gotten to the point where I understood the mechanics and had that basically figured out, but then was faced with playing Zorndorf for the first time, and it's a three map just monster, and then having to figure out how to fight a battle with the forces you have and the setup you have really turned out to be a completely different thing, which I was wholly unprepared for. It was a bloody battle, but I lost big by the end of it. So, eh, but that's just kind of on the progress of learning the game is first the fundamentals and then moving on. So we talked a little bit about scenario one and scenario two. And scenario one and two are purely introductory, one for infantry, one for cavalry. Scenario three is called Brown versus Schwer, and it's actually combining the two scenarios together. So it's kind of a nice additional step. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to scenario four. And scenario four is called the Morning Battle. It just uses well, this is going to sound confusing, the North and South maps doesn't use the West map. So this is reflecting Frederick's flank march around the Austrians, and then his feeding troops in as they well, and frankly kind of as they made contact. It wasn't like he did a whole lot of waiting. He was feeding troops in all day long as they arrived. So what we perhaps should do is just understand where we are. The scenario starts at 9:20 in the morning, and frankly a lot of the troops that you're going to see on the map aren't on the map at 9:20, but it's been 2.5 hours. And so let's take a look at what we've got going on right now. And there's a lot going on. So up
Yeah,
here at the
this is
top,
the 1140 turn, so it's
right.
about seven turns into the scenario, and you can see here. Yeah, so go ahead and carry on, Michael.
So we've got Prince Heinrich is up here, up at the top, and he is leading a bunch of grenadiers here who are pretty stout grenadiers. They're facing some Austrian line infantry who are behind earthworks. So that could be a little bit of an issue there. Um, you'll also see this long line of road column troops who, whoops, I probably didn't mean to do whatever it is I just did. Nope, I guess I didn't do anything. I thought I had. So there's a long road column coming in. You'll also see that the King Frederick, is actually right here. And basically, we're just trying to, first of all, rush these troops out of these entrenchments and try to unhinge the left side of this Austrian line. And also just trying to bring more troops forward in road column. You'll also see across a little causeway here. And by the way, neither Eric nor I speak Czech, which will become abundantly clear as we mangle the names of these places. There's a town here that is K-E-J, and we keep calling it Kej because probably in English that's what you do, and I'm sure in Czech you do something completely different. But there's a causeway just northeast of that little village, and there are some Prussian troops trying to come across that way. And there are already some Prussian troops deployed southwest of that village, and they've actually already been engaged. In fact, yeah, if you scroll up just a tiny bit, you'll see that my dear friend Kleist actually managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory in the previous turn and routed away, leaving his command up front to pick up the pieces. So that's a little bit of a challenge for them. This is the left end of the Austrian main line, and what you're going to see in this Austrian line is a number of earthworks. These earthworks are represented by counters. I don't know how easily you can see them because we have artillery units sitting on top of them, but here, did I do that? Oh, there
No,
we
I'm
go.
doing
Well,
it. I'm just
well
kind of
done, you.
cycling
So we've got
through.
some earthworks there. Those earthworks make those artillery more effective and, of course, make them harder to hit. So that's going to be a challenge. As we move farther south, we've got Prussian units that are deployed and some Prussian guns that are unlimbered. And then we reach the Kaiserstrasse. That's this big highway that runs from Prague east out into the countryside. And you'll see there is a column, Prussian troops on the way forward. And in addition, we've got Prussian troops that are already deployed further forward. And if we look over to the left in the Austrian line, more of those nasty guns inside those earthworks. The other thing you'll notice in this game, there's a special rule that I think is an optional rule in the series now, that artillery at an elevation gets a benefit firing at people at a lower elevation. And so between that and the earthworks, actually, those guns are really a nuisance. They're actually much more powerful because even a +5 or a +10 to your die roll, in some senses, at least as good as a combat odds column shift. So that's an important one there. As we scroll down a little further, we get out down into the area. This should look a little familiar to those of you who did the scenario one with us, because we're in the same part of the battlefield here. Those Austrian grenadiers are over there on the left, and the Prussian grenadiers and some of the rest of Schwerin's detachment are there as well. And then if we keep scrolling down, there kind of is a little bit of a gap in the action until we get south of this village, which I view as completely unpronounceable because I can't even tell what letters those are.
Well, I think we were calling it Sterbolhof.
Sterbehold.
Sterbolhof. Sterbolhof.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
sure.
it's a
Why not?
Hof at the end, Hof.
Oh,
So
Sterbehoff. Yes. No, that
Sterbolhof.
makes sense. I like
Sterbolhof.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you say it fast enough, it almost rolls off your tongue.
Right. And if you've had a couple of Oktoberfests.
There you go.
Right. So then beyond there, we get down to the cavalry battle. This is cavalry battle from scenario two. But now, of course, this is cavalry battle clearly well underway. You can see lots of shaken and disordered uh, on the Prussian
And
cavalry
routed
there.
units. Yep.
Some routed units. You also see that we have nothing remotely like clean, tidy lines anymore, which is what happens when cavalry start fighting. It becomes, as I usually like to say, zeros and wildcats um, pretty quickly. And then if we get all the way down to the bottom, we see that the light cavalry have also engaged, but it's a little different scenario there. Prussian light cavalry is way better than the Austrian light cavalry, and you'll see all those shaken and disordered Austrian light cavalry and the routed ones wail in the back. And really, the Prussians are actually kind of still pretty organized, even if they haven't finished off all of the Austrian cavalry. So that's kind of where we are. In some places, we're still advancing to contact, and other places, we're very much in the thick of it. What did I miss there, Eric? Anything?
I think you hit on all the salient points as far as setting up the situation, and I would only say if you guys want to kind of watch the live streams that we did of this game back in
Mm-hmm.
2023, you can see step by step as things started to happen to where we
That's right.
got to at the 1140 turn, and then beyond. And so you can kind of see where we did things. I think this was the first battle that I played. Well, this is actually the second battle we played. The first one was Brandywine, and we had no
Brandywine.
cavalry.
Yeah.
And so then this was the first one that I had cavalry. And so I was that there'll be lots of question and answering as I was trying to do stuff, and you were helping me out. And I think with David, this was a big cavalry stuff as well. So, those live streams are a great way to kind of see how things are going,
Right.
particularly those early ones where we've got lots of questions, and Michael is answering. Not only for me, his playmate, because I was playing on the Prussian, I was your teammate,
That's
but
right.
also helping David with command decisions and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
nice
If
when you
memory
have an
serves,
experienced player that can help
you
everybody.
you were Schwerin, so kind of the middle of the Prussians in this battle, and also the cavalry on the left.
That's
And
correct.
and I was Frederick, so all the folks up at the north end of the battlefield.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then
And then
David was alone to face the onslaught.
yes, he was playing the Austrians
Right.
up and down the line.
Right.
So, I mean, for today's situation, I'm happy to play the Austrians, and but
Sure.
yeah, it shouldn't be a
Oh,
problem one way or the other,
okay.
how we do stuff. So, I think we've got everybody kind of up to speed on what's going on.
I
So
think we do.
now, so now would
So
be
it's
a
the top of the 1140 turn, so it's time to do an initiative roll.
yep.
Um, Frederick is the army leader for the Prussians, and he's got a +4 initiative rating. And then Brown, let's see, where is
Brown's
Brown?
got a +3.
He's got a +3. All right. So the Prussians are going to get a +1 total. Typically in the vassal module, we just go ahead and hit the blue and red die roller, uh, just to save us having to compare things. And what we get there is we get a Prussian well, I guess it becomes a 7
Right.
and an Austrian 3
Yep.
after the die roll adjustment. So that is a Prussian activation.
Hmm.
And yeah, the Prussians will take the activation. But now let's talk about, okay, what do I do? I've got some troops in contact. I've got uh, these troops up near Kaj that
Right.
are already in contact. I've got grenadiers, which are near the enemy, near those earthworks that you're seeing
Right.
on the screen right now. Maybe not quite as critical because they're not actually engaged. Um, then we've got a bunch of folks who aren't engaged down the main line. They're becoming engaged, but not there. And then we get the cavalry, both the medium cavalry, who are kind of shot up, frankly,
Right.
and then
Yep.
the light cavalry, who've mostly been doing the shooting up. So now there's another thing we need to think about because my gut sense tells me that I should probably deal with the folks who are in contact first. And specifically those that you need to get into a better situation than they're in now. Um, so that might make me think the cavalry, the medium cavalry, would be an important one because they're pretty torn up, the Prussian medium cavalry, right?
Right.
Um, and that's a possibility. But then there comes a wrinkle that shows up in some bar games that you need to think about. And that's the idea of what they call a detachment rule. Now, one of the things that Frederick did when he started this big, long flank march around the Austrian army is he detached Field Marshal Schwerin ahead of the main army with the idea that you take this detachment of troops and for game purposes, you're their army leader. And then I, Frederick, will remain the army leader for the rest of the army. The nice part about that is it means you can really separate your army farther than an army leader's span of command will work. The downside, though, is they built into the system a little bit of there's a word I want to use. I want to use the word cumbersome, but I think I want to use it as an adverb. Anyway, okay, I give
Let's
up.
just say some friction.
There's some challenges to it.
Yes. Yes.
When you activate a command inside a detachment, you're welcome to do that. That's fine. The thing at that point, though, is you really kind of need to keep doing all the commands of that detachment. And the reason for that is because if at any point while you're doing those activations, you switch to an activation from the main army, that means the detachment's kind of done. And so that means that any of the remaining formations in that detachment are limited to limited activations, which basically means no moving unless you're in road column on a road. And you can still do combat and some other things, but really you're kind of very limited in what you can do. And especially with my troops in combat or trying to approach combat, that would be a bad thing. Now, it doesn't work the other way. If I start with commands from the main army and then I switch over to the detachment, well, I can switch back to the main army whenever I want. It's only the detachment that has that kind of friction that as they're doing their activations, they basically kind of need to do them all at the same time sequentially
Right.
before you can then go back to the main army. And I think the idea behind that was they didn't want it to be possible for you to be able to coordinate those two halves of the army as if there was one mind behind them. I mean, the whole point of the exercise is we've separated it. You take care of this, I'll take care of this. And that's just the method there. So,
Right. Yeah. And so the idea would be, yeah, obviously you're playing the game. You've got, the, left wing of the detachment and the right wing of the army are or left or right, whatever. They're touching each other, and you could do one or the other, but you can't necessarily do both. So there might be a occasion where you're like, okay, I want to do something with the army, or I want to do something with the detachment, then do something with the army, and then go back to do something with the
Yeah,
detachment.
and
And
that
and
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 that
and
won't
and,
work.
and I think it's really only like where it's trying to do something is where you've got those two forces that might be adjacent to each other, where you'd be doing one or the other. And
Could
if
be,
you were
yeah.
perfectly able to coordinate things, then you could go in any order you wanted to. But in this particular case, they're like, okay, nope, if you activate this, you got to do everything else, because then if you do this other one, then you're stuck with, limited
Exactly.
activations for the rest of the time. So
And the
I think, at least from when the games we played, like with this particular one, it was really the case where we were trying to kind of deal with the activities or what's going on the two different sides. Um, and as time ticks by, that's the other thing. As you're running out of time to do stuff,
right,
it could be the sort of thing like you're like, okay, I've started with my detachment, but gosh, I've got to get something done on the other side of the battlefield.
right,
And so I might have to just like stop doing anything with the detachment, because if I don't, I'll run out of activation opportunities. And then I won't be able to get what needs to get done with the army.
right.
So those are the sort of decisions that you're going to make. I'm going to make a suggestion down here by Stöberhoff, right?
Yes.
That we haven't had a situation where we did cavalry charging infantry yet, have we? I don't think in the
No, in fact, you
two.
and I talked about it after our last one that there wouldn't have been a reason for it in this last scenario.
Right, right. But I'm wondering, for the sake of demonstrating that in the tutorial,
Uh-huh.
if we
Yeah.
want to move some of these guys, these Austrian cavalry here by Steberhof, so that they would be facing towards these Prussian
Oh,
grenadiers.
so we could get
Yeah, so we could
one of
have,
those.
yeah, we could
Okay.
do some kind of here's a sample of what
Okay.
a cavalry charge would
So
look
so
like,
you're
kind of thing.
proposing to just act as if they started there?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
So
okay? Yeah.
yeah,
No,
just
that
just for the sake of
I com- I
you
completely
know,
agree because that's something that happens in the game, and we haven't had a chance to reflect on that. So
yeah, I know
reflect
we
that yet.
had there were
So
a couple of times that happened in the Zorndorf, right? I think we had
mhm.
at least, and we had some in when we played Kolin. We had some
Yeah.
Prussian cavalry attacking um, Austrian infantry, sometimes really effectively, other times not so much so.
Well, anytime you do close combat,
Yep, it is a little bit
it's
of a thing. So,
right.
given
So
that I've
so
repositioned them, yeah,
okay.
and yeah. So I don't know if you want to
So
do something with your guys or not.
no, it's fine. So in terms of my first activation, then,
Hmm.
if I start with the detachment, I'm kind of committed to sticking with the detachment. Now, who is the detachment? That's actually something else we should probably discuss. The detachment is the wings of, forgive my German, Schonach, who's the medium cavalry
Right.
that we were just looking at, Fouquet, who's the infantry I think you were just looking at,
Yep.
and Hachamoy, um, and Winterfeld's command. So basically,
Right.
all the infantry there just north of that village, and the medium cavalry just south of that village.
Right.
Notice that Zeton, the light cavalry, isn't. He's completely independent. He's
Yep.
off doing his own thing. So, as much as I'm kind of tempted to do that, what I want to explain is why I'm not going to do the other thing that I very possibly would do. Let's go up to Kej,
Okay.
because what's going on up at Kej is he's main army. He could go ahead and activate right now, and then I could just switch, hoping I get the next activation and switch down and take care of the medium cavalry then.
Right.
The problem is, remember what we talked about? Poor Poor Kleist has run away with a stack of his own troops,
Yes. Yeah.
meaning
So
that
if your
these
if your
troops,
leader is stacked with guys and they move back, in this case they rout, then the leader is sort of swept away with them.
Exactly. And so these guys are all outside of his 4 hex command range, which means being out of command, they're only going to get half movement. They can't initiate close combat. Really, the most they could do is just try to turn so that their flanks aren't facing into the enemy.
Well, these
That's
back units are within 4, right? One, 2, 3, 4. 1,
mm.
2, 3, 4.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
only the
Okay.
front rank
Okay.
that is out sort of high and dry.
Okay. Well, you know
Um,
what? Given that, I'm going to go ahead and activate him. I
okay.
don't know why I can't count. I've been wargaming all day in a different system, so I'm going to use
It's
that as
either
an
that or you've been
excuse.
drinking too much bourbon,
Probably not bourbon, but possibly.
possibly.
So, okay. So
You
let's
are in
go with Clay.
Texas. You got to be drinking something good,
Gotta be
right?
drinking something.
Takes the
So
edge.
let's go with Kleist. Now, again, remembering what we're doing, if we scroll up a little bit, we'll find that Kleist is actually not that far from the king. And there's a road between them for most of the path. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's only 6 hexes away from the king once you count for the fact that leader to leader command is extended by passage along a road. So he's in command. I don't have to roll to put him in command. You'll notice that I didn't go through his wing leader. I went straight from the king, straight to him. The important thing about this is that the wing leader is just there as an aid. He can extend the army leader's command to make it even more possible to spread out wider. But in fact, ultimately, you're really trying to trace back to the army leader. So any command leader can go straight back to the king directly. So he's in command. Thumbs up with that. Now, what we do know is that I've got those guys in that stack there are routed. That's not great. We know that these guys are in command. We know these guys are not in command. So if I marked all 3 of them as out of command, I would do that because I want to be sure that we don't forget. That's super weird. That was not what I expected.
That was
What
interesting. It
what
seemed
just
to have
happened?
cloned. I just, yeah, it seemed to have cloned. Uh, and did it put out a command on it or did it put,
It did put out a command as well, but you know what it was? It's because I didn't just have the unit selected. I also
oh,
had
you selected the other.
the increment loss
So
as
then it cloned
well.
them.
It cloned both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted either. I'm famous for this.
That's the joy of Vassal.
It is the joy of Vassal. All right. So these guys are out of command, and that's going to have an impact on what they can do. Short answer is they ain't going to be able to do a whole lot. Okay. These routed units we don't deal with until the rally phase. And so Kleist can stay back there with them, but frankly, he's not going to. So I'm going to
Well,
start
and
thinking
you
of.
wouldn't want him to. I mean,
I
it
don't want him getting carried further away if they don't
exactly.
rally, even
Yeah.
though he might help them rally, but
Right.
it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know who's in command. We don't have any disorder to recover from. Now it's time for shooting. Now, just because this unit here is out of command doesn't mean he can't shoot, and he will. So let's take a look. He's got 5 strength points. 4 of them can fire because he's in line, and 4 is the most you can fire. I'm almost certain. What is he? He is a
Musketeer.
musketeer, so that's going to be times 4. We looked on the fire combat, actually not on the fire combat chart. You look on the chart with the terrain effects, and at the bottom you'll see the fire multipliers for each unit type and each range. So it's times 4. So 4 times 4. So I've got 16 attack points. Of course, the only units I can fire at, that is not what I wanted to do. The only units I can fire at are these right here. And they are how big?
They are 8.
8. Well, how
No,
thoughtful of
sorry.
you.
There's 7, right? So there's
Curses.
3
How
left
how
and yeah.
unthoughtful
Yeah.
of you. Okay.
There
So
were there
seven.
were
So
more
there's,
at one point in time, but I think they got shot up. So
yeah, so there's no size modifier there. So it's going to be 16 to 10. They're in clear terrain, so it's 10. So we're going to do fire combat at 1.5 to 1 with no modifiers. And we'll just go ahead and shoot some dice here. Hey
ooh,
now.
96. That's a
That's
good shot. At 1.5 to 1, that's going to be 2 hits
gonna be
and a morale
two.
check because it's an even number die roll.
That's right. So
So
two
that's,
hits. The two hits have to go on the top unit.
yep,
And so he gets knocked down to, he's only
he's
got
going to,
one strength point left,
yep,
which means he's more than half dead, which is lovely because he's having to take a morale check right this minute. And
yep.
he's going to have to do a +10 because of that.
And we roll a 45.
Okay. And what
So
is his story?
he is a
Oh,
21. He's pretty
okay.
good.
So he
So he's got a
really only
plus
needed
10 because of the because from the fire chart.
for
And then he's got a
oh,
plus what for being half dead.
+10 for being half dead, +10 from the fire combat results. So he passed in spite of that.
Yep. Yep.
Because 21 is a very good number, and he beat 41, which is what he was really after.
Yep. So
Okay,
there's not much left of him, but hey, what do you
yeah.
know?
So
Okay.
you don't have to be in command to shoot because I mean the lower level officers will just make sure that the men are firing if they're that close to the enemy. They don't need anybody to tell them. So now let's talk about some, and I think that's, oh, actually, that's not all the fire combat I could do because these units here
Yep.
can
They can
fire
fire.
at
Yeah.
2 hex range. Um, and although they're going to be limited in how much they can do because their multiplier is going to be ×2 at 2 hex range, but I could bring 8 strength points to bear, 4 from each hex. 8 times 2, that's also going to be 16. So I'm kind of tempted to go ahead and do that. I'm trying to, we're going to have to figure out what the story is with those field works. Do those,
As
what
far
is,
as the fire defense
yeah, what
goes,
is the effect that does to the
so
fire
those are, I think,
defense?
light field works.
Right.
So your fire defense value is halved.
You mean my fire strength value?
Yes, your fire exactly. Your fire strength value is halved. So
Okay.
their fire defense is going to be 10, and then your 16 is
Attacking it
halved
is going to
again.
be at 8.
8, right? So it's going to be
Right.
8 to 10.
Okay. And that's totally fine. Now, the reason why I remember doing this particular shooting is because you've got an infantry unit and 2 batteries of guns in there. So it's a large target,
Yep.
which I'm going to hope that the die roll modifier is enough to make that worth my while. So that's going to be 2 times 4 is going to be 8,
For
and
the
then
for the
8
battery.
plus for the battery, and then +7 is going to be 15,
So that's
and
a
15.
plus 15 on your die roll modifier.
Okay, so it's going to be 1 to 1.5, but it's going to be at +15.
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and roll that, see how that goes. Not so well.
So that's going to be a 55 at 1 to 1.5 is not enough to accomplish anything.
Right. And so disappointing, but not terrifically surprising. Always willing to take a shot at it. Now, I should point out we're playing with the bar standard rules as written. There are optional rules that I frequently play with, and which certainly I would encourage people to at least evaluate once they get the hang of the basic rules. Seeing that 0 at the end there, it reminds me of an optional rule that would actually
Oh
allow
yeah.
his artillery to fire back at me. Well, and his infantry too to fire
Yeah.
back at me. But alas and alack, we're not using that optional rule, so no return fire there. So now it's time for movement. I'm going to go ahead and start moving. And now remember, the out of command units have a couple of things going for them. They're limited to half movement, They can only enter an enemy zone of control if they're already immediately adjacent to it, and all they do is enter the enemy zone of control, which means I could advance if I wanted to. I don't know that I'm that crazy because they can't initiate close combat because they were out of command at the beginning of the turn. What I do think I'd like to do, though, is do a little bit of damage control here and move this guy. And as I move him, at least in theory, I draw opportunity fire from this stack over here.
Right.
However, the path between the two of us is half blocked
Right.
and he's disordered.
Yep.
And I don't know if I read the rules say, I don't know if the rules explicitly cover this. They probably should, but I don't know that they do. What we know is that the way disorder works is it says that you can only fire 2 strength points out of that hex, not 4.
Correct.
And then when you have a fire path like this that is half blocked, that also reduces your fire strength by half.
Right. So that means I could only have 1 strength point that could fire.
What I
And
don't know that the rules really specify is that really cumulative? Or is it just kind of intuitive that it should be cumulative? Because the disorder is equally true on the left side of the line and the right side.
yeah,
So it feels more right that you'd only actually be able to bring 1 strength point to fire. And in that case, you probably
I'm
don't
not going to get a
have
shot
enough
because it's less than 1 to 3 odds.
less than
My
1 to 3
multiplier
odds.
is times 2 at this range. So 1 times 2, it's 2. So it's 2 to
Oh
10.
yeah, it'd be
So
one
it's,
to
1 to
five. That'd be
5. Yeah.
crazy.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I've spent 1 movement point here, and I think that costs me all 3 of the rest of my movement points. I think the slope cost me 1. Of course, the hex itself cost me 1, and moving into an enemy zone of control cost me 1. So that's all the rest of my movement. Now, at this point, you also would get opportunity fire, but remember how opportunity fire works? You're firing on the unit as it's leaving the hex that it's leaving, which means it basically is exactly the same as when I was shifting facing, and therefore there's no shot.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then what do we do with the rest of these guys? What do we do with these guys?
And so
These
that's the question. Are, the chaps that you just moved adjacent to are disordered. They would be vulnerable if you
yeah,
were going to do a close combat, which
I'm
I would
I'm
I would think
certainly
that you'd want to
tempted.
do. Yeah.
I'm certainly tempted. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what to do with these other 2 units here, one of which has taken a shot already. I've got these out of command units in front of me. I could march through them, but as I'm marching through them, I create a massive target for your artillery to op fire.
Yep.
And frankly, this hex has got 13 strength points in it, and this one's got the batteries and it's got the earthworks. Gotta confess, I'm not that enthusiastic. I'd really like to turn your flank, which I think is what Kleist was trying to do
Yes.
when he routed away
Yeah. I think he
last
was in
turn.
that hex, and
I
that's what.
believe he
Yep.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
memory serves. So I think what I'm going to do is give him a chance to recover his honor. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this unit this way also, and I'm going to leave him there because I would have to rapid march to get into that next hex, and I don't want to take the chance of shaking the whole group
Disordering everybody.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
disordering the whole group. But then I'm going to go ahead and move Kleist down, and customarily I don't even bother counting the movement points on leaders because they can move so fast. So I'm not sure I'm too worried about it. I'm going to put him up there, and he's going to have a chance to put things right.
He's gonna try to save his
So
reputation.
that's what we're going to try to do. That's our
Well.
story, and we're sticking to it. So we're going to attempt close combat against this disordered defense unit here.
Yep.
And so I'm going to have to roll a type B morale check. And that type B morale check probably has modifiers, but I don't think any of them apply. I'm not half dead. I'm not shaken. I'm not disordered. Nobody's in my flank. I'm not, yeah, okay. I think I'm just straight up roll, I'm pretty sure. And I'm confident that that's good enough for our argument
Oh, yeah.
here.
68 is going to be fine.
So now you need to do your pre-close combat morale check. You will have a +5 because you're disordered.
Okay. All right. So let's check the dice. 77. I'm pretty
Easily
confident that
enough.
we've passed. Yep.
Easily enough. Okay. Um, so when you look at the back of of the of the rules, you get the handy dandy sequence of play. And that sequence of play is really handy for the close combat segment because you really want to do things in a very specific order. We've gone through attacker designations. I was only going to use that one unit to attack. Done my morale check. There was no step C. There was no reason for step C. Step D, I kind of skipped a little bit because there was only one combat, so it was obvious what the combat was, just those two hexes. The defender's done his morale check, and now the defender gets to do defensive fire. Now, the reason
Yep.
I'm attacking him is because he's disordered, so only 2 strength points can fire out of that hex. And it's the
And these
top
are
unit
Fusiliers, so they are ×3.
times 3. So you've got
That's going to be
6.
6. So
Okay,
6 to
so
10.
it's going to be 1 to 2.
Yep.
My size is 7, so
Yep.
that's
So
not
there's
going to
no
give you
modifier
any
there.
benefit, but you will get a +20 for defensive fire because that's what this is.
Yep.
The defensive fire happens when I come up real close, so it's going to be 1 to 2 +20.
Ooh, and we rolled a 28, which modified to a 48, and that's not enough to do squat.
That's not even enough to prompt me to do a disorder
Nope.
check.
Yep.
So okay, I got lucky there. All right, so we'll go to close combat. Close combat is going to be let's see what the odds
So
are.
I've got 6 increments or 6 strength points, and you've got 7
six
strength
strength
points.
points, right? But because you're disordered, your 6
Oh,
strength
yeah.
points
Or
are really
have.
equivalent as if they were 3.
Yep.
So I've got 7 to 3. So our odds are going to be 2 to 1.
Right.
And then if we look at see, that's the amazing thing about Kleist is he's a +3 command value,
Yeah.
combat value.
Yeah.
He's
He's
incredibly
friggin' brilliant.
powerful
Yeah.
and yet manages to get tossed away. All right, whatever.
I'm hoping for a
Okay.
0 roll here, Michael.
My printed value then is +7. I don't think I have any other modifiers, and your printed value is +3. So
+3.
it's 2 to 1 +4.
Yep.
Is that
2 to 1
how
plus
you
4
read
for
it?
the
All right.
attackers.
Oh, and then I roll terribly.
Oh, right. So the 2 is the Prussian roll. So 2
Right.
plus 4 is going to be
4
6,
becomes a
and
6.
the Austrians are 8. So on the chart, we're going to be looking at, and let me bring up the chart here so people can see
Right.
close
So it's going to be
combat. It's going to be 2 to
minus,
1, a -2, and that is
right.
MM.
MM is by far the most common special or most common combat result at normal combat levels. MM in this context means the attacker needs to do a morale check first, and that is a type M. M? That's not right. Type G morale check. I think it's type G. Really, the only things that matter there is: are you half dead? Are you shaken? Are you disordered? Really, I don't think anything else much. Well, and do you have a leader with you? I guess.
Right. And whatever
So,
the army level is. So it's sort of
right, of
usual
course.
stuff.
So I have got a 23 and a -5 from my leader, so I need to beat an 18. I hope I didn't just jinx myself by saying that.
Oh, you were close, but
Not quite.
you
Okay.
did
All
have the
right.
8 part.
Yeah,
So
I did. I did. So you are a
I'm
26, but
disordered,
you have a
26. So I'm trying to roll
+5.
above a 31, correct?
Right. Right.
Okay, here we go. Oh, and I rolled a 28.
Okay. Lots of 8s here.
Yep, yep.
Okay. So you lose a strength point and route.
Yep.
And so my cunning plan is coming together. Kleist
I
is undoubtedly going to be insufferable in the bar this evening as he tries to explain to everybody that that whole initial route was to put the Austrians in a false sense of security. I totally understand.
All
All
right.
right.
And so the
Four.
route retreat for infantry is going to be 4 hexes back. So we're
Right.
just going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that.
Right.
And then Kleist needs to advance.
Kleist does advance. Whoops. I could have sworn I had selected the whole stack, but clearly I had not. So we're going to advance into the hex. I'm not in anyone's zone of control right now, and therefore I can adopt any facing I want. If I was in a zone of control, I'd be compelled to retain my initial facing. And sure enough, I still don't have everybody. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to put myself in the flank of this next unit on the line. This is really what I wanted to do, is start rolling up the line, because as much as I love charging guns, I'd really rather sneak up on them from behind. And that's going to be the end of Kleist's activation.
All right. So now we go
So,
back to chucking the dice. And let
yeah,
me
why
go
don't
ahead
you go
and
ahead and do it this
roll.
time? It's +1 for the Prussians.
So it's a 7-9. So that's going to be
Oh,
a Austrian activation.
now
So with
we
the
should
+1,
probably
it's,
introduce
yeah.
everybody though to another item that we need to remember is what the end turn value is, because I'm not sure what the end turn value is for this
It's
scenario.
10. In this scenario, it's 10.
It's 10. Okay.
Yep,
Well, we rolled way more than 10 this time.
indeed. So
If
if
you
you
just
add the
add those
7
two
and the
together,
9, you're going to get that. You don't add in the army leaders for the
right?
end
Just the
turn
raw
number. Yeah.
numbers, add them
Yep.
together. If they exceed 10, then we advance that end turn clock. This end turn mechanism is actually incredibly cool, because you'll notice yeah, you can see it on this screen.
Yep.
It starts in the early part of the day that the end turn has more boxes in it. And as the day goes on, the number of boxes shrinks. The idea behind it is, once you reach that end box at the end, all activations thereafter are limited activations. Limited activations mean you do the entire activation, except you can't do any movement at all except for road movement on a road. And what that effectively means is that, people who are already engaged could stay engaged, could keep fighting. Units that need to rally could rally if they wanted to. You can recover disorder, but you can't really do any maneuvering. And I think what we're trying to model here is the fact that Frederick or Brown couldn't get couldn't pay attention to every part of the battlefield at the same time.
Yep.
Couldn't make sure that orders are being issued to everybody all the time. And as the day goes on, just the wear and tear on the army and the communications infrastructure is such that as the day goes on, the turns get shorter and shorter. And I just love the way that models kind of just the day grinding to a halt. And so we won't get to that in this session, but that's where we are. So
Yeah. And
we have
that's,
moved down that end
yeah.
turn track.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I think it has it's kind of modeling the fatigue without getting
Mm,
into the nitty gritty of,
right.
okay, this brigade is fatigued and that brigade is fresh.
And
It's
and
kind of a
just
little bit more generic, kind of stuff.
more battlefield confusion. There's more
Yep.
smoke, and just it gets harder and harder to understand where the army is and what they're supposed to be doing. The other thing I really like about it, though, is that it's not deterministic. You don't move down one box of that track every activation. You only do if the die roll numbers for the initiative roll are
Yep.
more than the end turn. So what'll happen, and you'll see it all the time, there'll be some where every roll moves the end turn marker down, bang, 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 bang. And what that really does to you as a leader is it makes you realize, I don't have much time left this turn to do whatever I need to do.
Right.
And so it really focuses the mind, and you think, okay, I kind of wanted to do that, but I ain't got time for that. This is the emergency. I need to handle it right now. And I like the way that it kind of makes the time ebb and flow a little bit. You might even argue that what it's kind of doing is indicating that some turns are really a little more than 20 minutes and some turns are a little less than 20 minutes, just depending on how fast you blow down through that end turn. So
Yep.
I think it's a really cool and simple way of kind of modeling that uncertainty.
Yep.
All
All
right,
right. So it's an
so
Austrian
it is an
activation.
Austrian
So
activation.
I've got a couple of things. I mean, at this point in time, it would have been nice if we'd gotten the activation first, because then we might have been able to plug the gap or roll for that chap who was disordered,
Right.
to get him to recover, before you got the jump on me. Right now, though, you've already achieved what you needed to do, and you can't do anything more. Well, you might. I mean, there are possibilities with some of these where you get a special result that allows you to activate your
To
leader or command a second time in a
to
row.
do another close combat segment. Yeah.
Right.
Not
So
terribly likely, but
yeah.
certainly is a possibility. Yeah.
Right. And so, what I might want to do is, knowing that's a faint possibility, but it's a possibility,
Yeah.
would be to activate these guys and to kind of plug the hole and fire back at you and kind of deal with that as a possibility. Or I could go to a different part of the battlefield
Right.
and try to put some pressure on the Prussian player and divert you from this section of the field to another section of the field.
Exactly. The other
Um,
thing is you don't have any of that detachment foolishness that I have to worry about because you're all your troops are under Brown's command.
correct. Yeah.
I do want to do one thing up at Kej. Just forgot to do it at the end of my activation. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these out of command markers
Oh,
because
yeah.
really at the end of the activation, it's they're not meaningful anymore. So I'm just going to take them off.
Oh, I was hoping that you'd delete all the units as well, Michael.
Well, knowing my skills at keyboard, it's not out of the question.
Yeah. So what I think I'm going to try to do is, um, the the Prussians that were moving down here as part of Winterfeld's command. Um, Suddenly, there's an opportunity for this cavalry that we have nudge, nudge, wink, wink, redeployed, um,
The fog
to
of war.
exactly to do something potentially, challenging to, um, those guys and catch them while
Yeah,
they're kind of in the march. And plus, it'll also give us a chance to demonstrate, um, cavalry versus infantry combat. So
right.
I'm going to activate, um, I guess it's Hohenzollern. He's
Oh,
got
it
this
is. Yeah,
cavalry
yeah.
down there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And he's far enough away from Brown. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So he's gonna have to roll to put himself in command, which probably doesn't matter, but I
okay.
think we should.
So we roll a single die. We roll a 5. Let's see. A lot of times the heavy cavalry leaders don't have the best initiative.
Oh,
Oh, he's got a initiative of 2.
oh
So
my word.
you basically
Okay.
have to come up and slap him in the face if you want him to do anything. So, but
Fortunately, you're close enough that I think you'd be okay.
right.
But you
So
can't do a
I
lot of fancy maneuvering because you can't rapid march and because you're not
yes.
in command. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So for these guys, it's going to be a case where they're going to have to move. Now, given how they're set, they can move out through either of these front hexes. But if they want to turn and do something, it's going to cost them a point. So if this
Hmm.
guy wants to go, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Would put
Mm,
him here,
I think I'd
and
be
the
7 if you did that.
Austrians. Oh, you're right, because it's down a hill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets him here, and going down there would be 6, 7, and he can't rapid march because we didn't get the initiative. Correct? I mean,
That's right. The
yep,
commander didn't put himself in command, and therefore a rapid
yep.
march isn't possible.
Okay, so we will just kind of continue on with things with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. So we can maybe hit some of these front units. Yeah, we can at least hit a couple of them. 1, 2. 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, we can at least charge one guy. So that's just what we call the machinations of fate, baby. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This guy can get here. And then 1,
Ah,
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How big a stack is that? Oh, that's already a big stack. Well, we'll just add somebody to it. We'll add A to it. This guy will be
okay.
here. And then we'll put Hohenzollern there for what he's worth.
Okay.
Good. And then now we are going to um, declare a charge. So we have to roll for our close combat.
Right.
And we'll
So
just start here
so
and
our
work our
first
way
step
down.
is we're going to designate the attackers, because you need to designate all of them before you roll for any of them. And you're going to go with all three of the stacks that are out there in
Yep,
front.
these guys here, obviously not this guy. He couldn't do it, even if I
Right.
wanted to, because he doesn't have a
Exactly.
line of sight on anybody.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so even if there was someone in range, because I can't see them, I can't declare a charge.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
yep.
So,
So we'll start with
so,
that chap, chuck the dice, see what we get. 16. That's probably, I mean, they're good, but
oh, my
they're
word.
not that good. So that guy's going to be shaken. So he is
Okay.
not going to go in for the
Okay.
attack. All right, now we're going to roll for Hohenzollern stack. 78. Okay, so they
Much
are
better.
definitely going to go in, and let's mark them with a charge. Okay, all right. And let's just put that on top. Good. All right. And then last but not least, the last little stack there.
Okay.
64. That's good
All
enough. They're
right.
going to do their thing. So we've got at least two are going to
Right.
go. Yeah. All right.
Well, that's high entertainment there.
Well,
Okay.
and that's kind of what we call par for the course.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that if you're a big control freak, you might not really enjoy bar that much because the game is going to mess with your plans, right?
Yep.
Um, okay, so after we've done the attacker morale checks, we then go to cavalry charge movement. Now, one thing we haven't really talked about here specifically is that the Austrians have a 3 hex charge range. Those of you who are paying close attention probably figured that out based on the fact that they're currently 3 hexes away from the nearest ones of my units. I gotta confess that I'm feeling a little bit better because that one extra one is missing out
Yep.
of that. So that's actually kind of nice. Um, so now the charge movement happens next, and the way that would work is that each stack of the attackers advances 1 hex at a time. There's a subtle difference that you can see there on the terrain effects chart that you're seeing right there. That this is a subtlety, and I think we may have talked about this when we did the cavalry
Yeah.
um, tutorial. But the slopes that just cost him extra movement points just earlier in this activation don't cost him any extra points in what's called special cavalry movement. Charge movement is special cavalry movement. So if that lower stack, the one that's currently got the red selection around it, wants to move straight east, it can without having to worry about running out of movement points
Right.
before it hits an enemy. If it wanted to, that was an option available to it. So this is a place where the attacker has the opportunity, even the obligation, to figure out what order is going to mess with the defender's mind the most and make the defender commit to a course of action that maybe is a waste of time. So you've got 2 stacks. You get to decide which one you want to start with, but each stack will do its full charge movement until it makes contact, and then we go to the other one.
Right. So I think I'm going to start off with this one here. Right.
Okay.
And so they're going to go 1, 2,
Okay.
and then
Now,
3.
now, now, when he's at 2 hex range,
Yep.
I want to be sure that I got this right. I can do what's called a defender reaction. And a defender reaction can take one of 2 forms. um, you could either do a facing change or you could do a formation change.
Right.
If you do a facing change, then you make the facing change and you got to do a disorder check. It's possible that you will definitely make the facing change, but depending on how many movement points you spent to do it, that will affect your disorder possibility. So the more movement points you spend, the more likely you are to be disordered. Um, the other thing you could do is a formation change. And that formation change, in this case, the only one that would make any sense to do is one that I almost never do, but I'm going to do it because of Eric in this
Okay.
case.
You're going to
I'm
form
going to go
square.
ahead and put those guys into square. That
Okay.
wasn't nearly as common in this era as it was in the Napoleonic era, and you're about to find out why. Because so this unit here is going to try to go into square when this enemy is 2 hexes away, and so I'm able to go into square, probably, but I have to do a disorder check, and that disorder check is at okay. Let me go back. If all I wanted to do is change facing to face him, that would be a valid choice. But and that would cost me 1 movement point. Then I do a
Right.
disorder check with a +10 because of
You
the
spend
fact that I
one, it's
spent
basically
one
plus
movement
10
point.
for every one movement point you spend.
If I go to square actually takes all of your movement. So it actually becomes a +40. So the chances are very good that you'll be in square, but oh, by the way, disordered. So that's one of the reasons why going into square is kind of a big commitment because now you're really not even very effective anymore. So I'm going to try that. Going to see how this works. They're grenadiers, so I feel pretty comfortable with them.
There you
And then
go.
what I'm thinking I'll do with the other unit, because you can't get around his flank, is I'll just let you charge him in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So
Because I
this
can't
one, right?
charge over the square or anything like that. That's
Yeah,
a
there's
more
none of that
Napoleonic thing.
in
Yeah.
this game series. All right. So I'm gonna roll. It's gonna be a +40. We'll see what I get. Yeah, he's good, but he's not that good.
I don't think
Um,
he's a 14.
I don't. No, he's 27. He's not.
27. Okay.
He's good, but he's really not that great. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means that now he has got a square marker on him, and he is also disordered.
Disordered.
And where's disorder? There it is. Okay. So
All
that's
right.
the good
And
news,
then we'll
bad news, right?
finish our
And then,
movement and right there.
mhm. So there we go, and we see what happens from there. Now that you've made contact, all that movement's done.
Yep.
So now we'll go to the other stack.
So this one's going to go 1, 2, and 3.
Exactly. Now, in this case, I didn't feel any need to do a defender reaction because I knew that
Yeah,
he had to hit me
yep.
in the front. So there wasn't really any reason to change things. So now we've made those two contacts. And so now we go to individual combat designations. And so now, obviously, it's pretty clear what's going on. It's one hex attacking one hex, it's another hex attacking another hex, and it's Eric's choice which one we do first.
Well, and it's a case
And
where, yeah, and it's a case where I've got to, if there were another Prussian unit here, this guy would have to attack both of them,
right,
right?
exactly.
But since he's not, and if he were facing this way, right, and there wasn't somebody else making the attack here, he'd
Right,
have to
right.
attack
Then he
both
would
of
have to
them.
attack
Yeah,
both of them.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So as it is, it's a lot tighter. It's just 1-to-1 and 1-to-1. So which one do you want
Um,
to do first?
let's attack the square. I don't think I've ever had the
No,
opportunity to
we've
do that.
never done that before.
Yeah.
So why the heck not? So
So you're gonna have to
um,
make a morale check, right?
right. So a
Yeah.
couple of things to think about. So first of all, now that we've designated that's the combat we're doing, I got to do a defender morale check first. Let's take a look at that defender morale check um, chart,
That is B.
type B. And so let's take a look at B. I don't have the losses problem. I am disordered. That's going to be plus
Right.
5.
But you're in a square,
Um,
which is a minus 10. So altogether, you're at a
that's oh
minus
yeah,
5, right?
right. Now remember, this is counterintuitive. Pluses are bad for the defender, or
Yep.
pluses are bad for you, the one making the morale check. Minuses are good. So I'm actually at minus 5, which is pretty good so far. Um,
And then your non-cavalry attacked by cavalry. Is that then a
right?
plus 5? Okay, so
Yeah,
we're at 0 now.
that's plus 5. So we're at 0.
Yep.
And of course, I don't have any flank hexes because I'm in a square.
Yep.
So I think that's it. I think it's just even at that
Okay.
point. Not weird. Okay, after all that. All right, so we will go ahead and roll and see what we get. Okay,
57. That's going to
passes.
pass.
Now, at this point, usually what would happen would be defensive fire. But when you do a defender reaction, what you've gone is you've foregone the opportunity to do a defender reaction. In other words, you've been so busy trying to frantically form yourself into a square that the enemy's on you before it's time for you to even be able to shoot at them. So no defensive fire,
Right.
which you just got to decide which is going to be more horrible: getting hit in the flank by a bunch of cavalry, yeah, pretty horrible,
Well,
or
and
not
you
getting to
wouldn't get
shoot at
any
them.
firing if you got hit in the flank either. So,
Yeah, well, that's another
yeah,
way of it. But I guess the other thing I could have done is just turned to the west and faced you,
right,
and then I still wouldn't have gotten to do defensive fire, and
right.
I
But,
wouldn't be in a square either.
right.
So
But let's take a look at the modifiers for you being in square.
absolutely.
So when we go to so now we're doing combat.
Right. And what do you got there? You got 12 strength points. And I've
Yes, 12 strength points to
and
your
because I'm
6.
disordered, I've
Oh,
actually
yeah,
only
to
got
3.
3.
So
Right.
it's a
So
4 to
that
1
disorder,
odds.
that
Yeah,
disorder is not nothing, right?
yeah, yeah.
So 4 to 1 odds. Um, let's see. Uh, okay. So under formations, we'll see the first one that really matters, and that's square gets plus 5
Yep,
versus cavalry. So, well, I guess we should look at what our raw numbers are.
yep. So mine is going to be 4 for the top unit and then a plus 1 for the leader. So I'm at 5.
You're
And he
at
went forward 3
5.
hexes. So I'm up to
So that's
total of plus 8.
6, 7, 8. But then also your medium cavalry, and I'm in your zone of control. So it's
Oh, okay.
plus 2 more. So that's
Okay. So I'm at
total
plus 10.
total of 10, right? Okay. My troops are plus 4 is their printed value,
Right.
and then plus 5 more for being in square.
Yep.
So
So,
that's 9.
yep.
And is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else. So
It's
problem
basically
here
the
is,
net is just a plus 1 for me. So it's 4 to 1 with a plus 1.
yeah, 4 to 1 with the plus 1. That's right.
Okay. So here then we're just hoping that the Austrians roll well. And it's going to be a 0, right?
A
The Prussians
0,
rolled an 8. The Austrians
right?
rolled a 7 plus 1 is an 8. So we're on the 0 part of the chart here for 4 to 1. At 4 to
Right.
1, that's still, the odds are still good enough. That's a
Yeah.
1D. So I lose 1 and I'm disordered, and you
Right.
lose 2 and you're routed.
Right. So fundamentally, what I wanted to show there is that square sounds like the obvious rock, paper, scissors thing to do when you're getting charged. And I mean, it may have ended up being a better result than any other result I could have come up with, but you're very likely going to be disordered. These troops were pretty good troops, but there was still a 2/3 chance they were going to be disordered, in which case the odds just went from 2 to 1 to 4 to 1. That's not great.
Right.
So,
And so but we would have had a plus 6. So we would have been 2 to 1 with a plus 6. So that's actually the same result.
If I had, oh, that's
Yeah.
okay.
So
All right.
if you turned to face me
Right.
and passed and not been disordered, the odds would have been 2 to 1. But instead of it being a net +1 for me, it would have been a +6 for me. And so if we take a look at what that is, that would have put
Okay.
us on the 5 chart, and so that's a 1D 2R. So it's the same result. It's kind of funny, but generally
Yeah.
speaking, I think um, having lower odds is better, only because once you get to 3 to 1 or greater, the chances of a surrender happening are much, much higher, right? So if I rolled,
Yeah.
exceptionally well and
Right.
you rolled exceptionally poorly, we could have gotten maybe a surrender result, and
Yeah.
that would have been catastrophic. So keeping the odds a little bit more reasonable is obviously
Maybe interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. All right. I just retreated. As I retreated across this friendly unit of mine. So I have to do I think it's a am I it is a disorder check. No,
It
no, it
should be
must
a
be a
disorder
morale
check,
check.
right?
Yeah,
Morale
it's
check.
a morale check F. It's
Okay.
called a friendly units retreats morale check.
Right.
It happens whenever somebody runs over one of your own units on the way out of Dodge. And
Right.
the big deal about this one is that you go directly from good morale to shaken and disordered if you fail. So
Right.
it's not just shaken, it's both. I doubt that there's going to be any modifiers that matter. In fact, I'm sure there aren't. So I'll just go ahead and roll.
I think that's
Almost
probably good
certainly.
enough.
Let's see, who was it?
It was this guy here, right?
Yeah, it must have been him. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. So
because
if I
you
flip
were
him,
there.
yeah. So yeah,
This is
he's at
26.
26. So he's
Yep.
fine. Okay. So you're
I have
obliged
to
to
advance.
advance. Yeah, you don't have to advance both of them, to be fair,
Oh, okay.
but one unit has to advance for sure. And you've got your own reasons for doing whatever you want. Um, so now that you've advanced, now we get to the whole pursuit thing again. And
Right.
pursuit is easily one of the most complicated parts of the whole game. A lot of fun, but complicated. And what I think is going to happen here, because they're all shaken, not just, yeah. Um, uh, if the advancing cavalry unit, and by the way, the advancing cavalry unit has to adopt a facing that puts him able to pursue the fleeing enemy. And
Yep.
you are currently in that facing, so that's
Yep.
good. If the advancing cavalry unit has a non-routed enemy unit in its zone of control after advancing into the vacated hex, then there is no pursuit.
Yep.
So basically, the the temptation to pursue was mitigated by the fact there's a whole bunch of Prussian grenadiers standing there.
Yep.
Um, and because you never go through the pursuit process, I don't think you have to make a recall roll either. Again, even I struggle a little bit with the pursuit um, mechanisms and where
Right.
exactly it happens. Um,
Yeah. I generally speaking, I would think that if there's no pursuit, there wouldn't be any recall because you're not pursuing anywhere.
yeah, because really where it talks about cavalry recall, um, it it talks about it at something you can do at any time during pursuit movement. It also says if no attempt has already been made, the pursuing cavalry will automatically attempt to recall when pursuit movement is ended. Well, again,
Right.
we never entered into pursuit, so I don't think it really applies.
Yeah.
So I think that means we're done with that one.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to the other one, shall we?
Right. And so part of the
Um,
reason why I did this one was so that I'd have this guy in this guy's flank to hopefully make it a little bit more challenging for them to
Well,
pass
that's
their
a good
morale
one.
check. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. So, so he's going to do his defender morale check now. It's going to be at a +10 because he's got somebody in his flank. But actually, and this is one that's easy to miss, it's also going to be +5 because he's non-cavalry being attacked by cavalry.
Yep.
That was one that we saw when we were doing the last one. So it would have been +5 anyway. Now it's going to be +15. So let's just roll well enough and it won't matter or not.
Mm.
I think this is about to go south in a hurry. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And that was the difference right there, wasn't it?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. So they get a little shaken by this whole thing, kind of feeling like they're getting overrun. So that's not great.
But they get to
Um,
shoot.
but they get to shoot because they didn't defend a reaction. They can go
Yeah.
ahead and shoot. They're grenadiers, so they get to shoot at ×5.
Yep. So you're going to have 20
And they have
to
20.
10. So that's going to be 2-1. And then I'm a big, huge, fat target. I've got 16 cavalry increments there. They're doubled
So
because
that's
they're all on the
32 because
horses.
they're cavalry.
Yep. So you're going to have a +30 on your
And
die
then
roll.
and then +10 more because it's
+10 for,
defensive
yep, it's
fire
a cavalry
versus.
charge.
So it's going to be 2-1 +40.
Yep. So it's a good chance you'll shoot a few people off the horse there.
It's a good chance I'm going to roll a 17 is what it is. Just for you to be clear.
Okay. Here we go. Let's
Well,
do it.
actually, I should be more clear. There's a 1% chance of me rolling 17. We're about to find out. Oh, that's
that's
not
a
it.
big
That's not
number.
it.
That's going to be off the chart there with a
It's going to be off the
+40.
charts on 2-1. Holy moly.
Oh, so that's going to be
4.
4 and a disorder check, but not a morale check
Not a morale check.
because
That's right.
it's a odd number.
Wow.
So that's a
4.
lot of guys that just got shot off their horse.
I have only ever beaten that once ever. And that was actually at Consim World in our battles for Quebec, where I actually did a 5
Oh
and
wow.
still lost the close combat, which I may
Oh
do
wow.
again here.
All
But
right.
oh my gosh, I shredded the guys.
All right. So time for me now to make a disorder check. Oh, and we pass with flying
Whoa.
colors.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right then.
Those guys who shot off the horses, those were the bad guys.
Yeah, that
Those
was
were
the
the
deadwood you got rid
Yep,
of
that was the
there.
deadwood. You got rid of them.
Okay.
They were reluctant to go. That's why we sent them out in front. So,
Okay.
all right. So we're definitely
So you've
in.
got 12 strength points, and I think I've got 5.
I think you
right?
got
Or
5 or 6, something. It's at least 2-1.
what is he?
Oh yeah,
He's
you 5 because you lost 1 increment.
right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's going to be a 2-1 on the
2-1
chart,
odds.
right?
Okay.
And then let's go
And that's
ahead
where
and
the
flip.
disorder would have really come in handy, right? Because that would have messed you up.
Yep.
Now, the one thing it does do to you, though, is because you're half dead, your printed combat value gets reduced.
Correct.
And I always struggle with this because it gets halved in the standard rules.
I believe so. So I would be from 4. So the top unit would have a +2 modifier. The bottom
Right.
unit's got a +4 modifier.
Right, but we only
So-
worry about the top 4 strength points.
Oh, is that
So-
the case? Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
the average of them all.
No, it's the average of stacks. If you had multiple stacks attacking, you'd average them.
Ah,
But
okay.
for each hex, it's the top
Right.
4 strength points. What is their combat value? And so in this case, really +2 is all you got.
Yep.
I keep looking for it. Where is the? Oh, because I'm looking on the fire combat chart. Okay, all right.
That would
So
explain
you're
it, right?
at 2. Yeah, I'm not going to get very far there. You're at 2, and then your cavalry,
Right.
medium cavalry, and I'm in your zone of control, so that becomes 4.
Yep.
And
And
you
then I
advance
charge 3
3
hexes. So
that
that's
becomes
+7. Yep.
Okay, all right. And then I am printed value of 5, which I then totally screw up by being shaken, which makes me 0.
Yep.
So it's 2 to 1 plus
Plus
7.
7. Okay.
Okay,
Well, let's
so
see what
this
we
is
get
when
here.
I really start looking for a zero.
Oh,
Oh,
so here we've got a big. So it's you have a 7 and I have a 1 with my plus 7. That's an 8. So altogether, the difference is plus 1 in my favor.
1
So
and
at
2 to
2 to
1.
1, a 1 is going to be
Oh,
1D, 1R.
oh, just missed. Almost
Yeah.
made you go into a refight.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. So that increases the losses there. And I go to, naturally, I go the wrong way around. And we'll flip the unit. Okay. So routed, that's not great. 1, 2, 3, 4. Um, right.
All right.
Okay.
Then I can
Now,
advance. And what I
now
do
here
is I'm going to, yeah,
to be clear, as you advance, you actually have a choice here because of the way I retreated right up that hex row. If
right,
you don't want to have any chance to pursue, you just turn and face northeast, and then there's no pursuit.
right.
And you'd still be able to, I mean, theoretically, you're in a facing to chase me down. But
Yes.
but but there is no pursuit because you've got an enemy unit in a non-routed enemy unit in one of your zones of control. However, if you want to pursue, then you face east just like you're doing now. That's also legit. So you
Yeah,
just advance with one of the two units, probably the one that's not shot to hell, right?
that's correct. Right.
Okay.
So my hope is, and we want to do a pursuit just so we can see what it looks like here.
You bet.
Um, so now I'm going to roll a single die because I'm disordered. That number will be halved, and that's how
That's right.
many hexes of
How
pursuit.
pursuit points you've got.
Yep. So I roll a 2,
Awesome. Which
halved.
means
That's going to be
really you got
1.
one.
Yep.
Yeah,
So if I wanted to pursue you, I would move into this hex here,
that's
and
right.
you would then suffer an additional
I
loss.
would lose one more strength point, and then you would recall at the end of that.
Yep. So I'm going to do
Or
that.
you could just recall now. Your choice.
Yeah, we're gonna take another hit off you, so that way you're 50% dead. So it
I'm
might be a
half
little
dead.
harder for
That's
you
always
to
a plus.
recover.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. All right. So now you will do your recall. You're going to get a +5 because you're disordered. You're going to get
Yep.
a +5 more because you spent one pursuit point, and so it's going to be +10.
All right. So I rolled a
Okay.
58. So I think I'm pretty good there. I think those guys had decent morales
Oh, I'm
last
sure
I
they're
checked.
better than 48. I
Oh
can't
my gosh,
believe
yeah,
it.
they're 18s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the challenge with pursuit, I mean, it's a lot of fun, but the challenge with pursuit is, especially if you're already disordered. Well, if you fail your recall, you're now shaken and disordered, and you're
Yep.
probably in unfriendly territory too.
Yeah.
So, this is maybe not a good example of that because he is not really in any great danger where he is, but it's really awkward to be suddenly behind enemy lines and shaken and disordered.
Yeah.
It's a good way
Well,
to
and the
get
and
banned.
the and the thing is that at this particular stage in the game, right, it might have made more sense for me to wait until Winterfeld had activated and then made the charge because you couldn't react to it. But then you would have been potentially in
Mm,
a better situation knowing that that
yeah,
charge
because
is threatening
because
you.
knowing you were there, I would have turned and started
Yep.
facing west, and then I wouldn't have had to do all the shenanigans. So
Yeah.
yeah, but what did we see there? We saw that square is certainly an option, but it's not a be all. I mean, if you can avoid going into disorder, well, that was going to be a hard time for Eric
Yeah.
because it was going to be 2 to 1 with +1, and that wasn't going to be nearly as much fun, especially the way we die rolled.
Yeah.
Um, it would have ended badly. But it's definitely not the slam dunk obvious choice that it
Yes.
is in, I think, Napoleonic games. So,
Yeah.
and
Usually,
then the
generally
other one
speaking,
is
in the
just,
Napoleonic, the square is much more solid and a very much the rock paper scissors counter to the cavalry.
Right. And
You usually don't get results like this. Normally the the combat value of the charging horsemen would have been thirded. So they just handle it differently in Labatai than how
mhm,
they do it here in Bar. In
right,
Bar, you've got that combat die roll modifier that gets
right.
up or down depending on the situation. And so that can have big swings one way or the other. Um, so
Of course, honestly, one thing you did is you came in with a double stack of cavalry. A lot of times
yes,
people don't do that, especially if they're attacking infantry. Why? Well, we saw it in the other combat. You had a massive target,
yep,
and because I got defensive fire against them, I shredded one of those two units. Now,
oh
I
yeah,
still
yeah,
lost the battle, but I mean that's a very expensive charge because that's an excellent cavalry unit that's
yep,
kind of
yeah. It's pretty
not
much
in good shape.
wrecked. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So um
Oh, and actually, I
obviously,
did the damage wrong. So the top unit took the fire damage. So that's why he was 4. But this stack, when I got the 1D, I need to put the hit from the 1D on the
oh,
larger unit.
on the bigger unit. That's a
Right.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
you're
doesn't
right.
go on the top unit in that case. In this case, it would go on the lower unit. Um, the idea being that the damage kind of gets spread out among the units in that,
Right.
if
No,
we're thinking about it.
absolutely. Yeah, it's different between fire combat and close combat. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make absolutely sure about the attack after close combat or the advance after combat. Um, is there any requirement? I don't remember that there's any requirement that it's any particular unit that advances.
I don't
S-
recall. I
Some
think
game
it
systems
was,
have something
yeah.
like that.
I think
Um,
at least the way we've been playing here for the last couple of years, I think it's the case where one of the units from a stack can go
right,
in, or if you have multiple stacks, one from those
right.
stacks that go in. So yeah, so in
Uh,
this particular case, yes, it was particularly bloody, and
yeah,
altogether we ended up losing 5 really strong dragoon strength points for
right.
damaging 2.
Two grenadier
Yeah.
outfits. Yeah.
Well, and then if we add the other stack in, so we've got, say, 6 cavalry units got 6 strength points of cavalry got
Oh,
killed for
right.
3 infantry ones.
Well, and the other challenge here that's going to show up. In fact, maybe we should just do another activation
Sure.
because in fact maybe the right thing to do is if I get this activation, I activate Winterfeld, right?
Yeah.
To see what's the natural blowback that
Yep.
happens here. All
Let's
right.
go ahead
So
and roll and see what we get.
you're done here, right?
It's a 44. Oh yeah, yeah. So I need
Oh,
to
you
flip
rolled a
over.
44. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I'll
Okay,
flip
good.
over what's his name? Hohenzollern.
Right.
All
All
right.
right. So I'm going to
So
go ahead and
yep,
activate
so it's
Winterfeld.
yours because you got a +1. So
Right. Right. So Winterfeld's up here. He is a member of the detachment. So I'm doing this partially for tutorial reasons. I wouldn't necessarily feel in the same degree of urgency if we were playing a regular game because his cavalry have done what they're going to do,
yep,
right? But for purposes of the tutorial, I want to go ahead and say, okay, well, so what? Now what do you do, right? Because the cavalry is now in a kind of a weakened state, right? The
yep,
cavalry is all disordered, or of course, there's a shaken one, and then there's one in good order further back.
yep,
So what does Winterfeld do? Winterfeld, of course, in addition to these 2 wrecked units out here, he's got all these here, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think so. Okay. So the trick for these guys is that cavalry can usually get away from infantry, which makes total sense, of course. But
right.
but Not when they're disordered. When they're disordered, they're trying to get their act together and they're less able to react to enemy units moving around them. And I'm just wanting to make absolutely sure, where is retreat before close combat? I want to make sure that can they or can't they do that? Retreat before
Oh,
close combat, because I
that
know
is a good question.
you can't react. I know that, but
Yeah, I
I'm
know. So
also
they
thinking,
couldn't opportunity charge you, right? Which would be one thing that would happen if they were fresh.
right.
So we know
They
that's not
couldn't
going to be the case.
opportunity charge. That's kind of another form of defender reaction. They can't change facing because that's a defender reaction again because they're disordered.
Right.
But the other thing is that disordered units can't retreat before close combat. So that means that basically they're pinned, and so infantry units can take a whack at them.
Yeah, so it's here on page 27. Non-skirmisher units that are capable of retreat before close combat must not be disordered in order to do so.
Right. So all right, so but let's just take a look. Winterfeld himself, I need to roll to put him in command. 4, if he's an independent leader, I gotta believe 4. Yeah, 4
Oh
is
yeah, he's
plenty.
pretty good.
He's in command, not a problem. I've got 4 units here. Nobody is disordered, so I don't need to do disorder recovery. We can do fire combat now.
Yep.
Now, fire combat's going to be the first problem that the cavalry is going to have.
Yep.
So this unit can fire here, and half of that unit can fire here, although at diminished strength points because of the distance. So that's going to be, they're all grenadiers in this group. So that's going to be 4 times 5.
Well,
And
oh yes, yeah. It's
right, 4
the,
strength
the
points
four
times
strength points
5.
times 5. Yeah.
Right. And there's going to be 2 strength points that can fire here. And I'd have to look at the modifiers. It
It's
is
probably
times
times
3
two.
for
Oh, times
grenadiers
three. Oh, nice.
at 2 hex range. So that is 26 then, for
Yep.
both of these hexes firing here.
Right. So
Okay.
that's a 2 to 1.
It's two and a
Um,
half to 1. There's actually a two and a
oh,
half to 1 column
you're right. 2.5 to 1.
for fire
And
combat.
I've got 11 increments there. Doubled is going to be 22 increments, which
Is
is
it 11?
going to
Oh, it
give
is
you
11.
plus something.
Right.
It'd be a plus 25.
Plus 25. So 2.5 to 1 plus 25. It's one of those things that
Probably going
doesn't
to
happen
kill some more people.
doesn't happen very often. So you got
Yeah.
to enjoy it while you can, right? All right, let's see what we, oh my
Oh,
word.
99.
Oh my
That is as
word.
good as you can possibly get it. So that's going to be off the chart again. And that's then going to be 4
4 more hits.
more, but no morale check.
No morale check.
Yep. So
But
those guys, the top guy is going to take those hits.
top unit just gets shredded.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Whoops.
So what I like about this is we're really seeing how that whole relationship plays out between cavalry and infantry. That was really one of the things that you wanted to do here.
Yep.
We saw how cavalry can go lay down a hard smackdown, but it's not like all fun and games. Even though he
Ye-
won both of those cavalry charges in reasonably convincing fashion, um, you, boy, I think he's going to get hurt here.
Oh, he's already got hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So
yeah, I mean, this is people. I mean, in sometimes in Labatai games, you do this, and you know the cavalry's just blown a hole through the infantry and whatnot. And but this game, it's not quite so cut and dried.
yeah, the cavalry. I mean, you just got to remember that anytime you charge, there's an excellent chance, a better than even chance that you're going to be disordered at the end of it. Not
Yeah.
always, but a lot. And if you're disordered, boy, there better not be anybody who can hurt you that in before you get a chance to activate again. So
Right.
that's the trick. All right, I'm going to go ahead and that's all the fire combat I can do. I'm going to go ahead and advance here just to see if I can add insult to injury. And then, oh boy, if I looked at the terrain effects chart, what's a marsh?
Let's see. Trade effects chart for the marsh. For being the defender in the marsh, it's probably not the best thing in the universe.
No, but what it definitely tells me is that you're prohibited from charging.
It says -4 for the attacker slash defender, and triple star. Double check CV modifiers for cavalry. Oh, double the CD modifiers for cavalry.
So it'd be -8?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Oh my word. Okay. And then what the other one is, I just wanted to see what did it say about so that it's marked as prohibited for special cavalry movement. Um uh so it adversely affects the combat values of attackers attacking out of or defenders defending in. SCM is not allowed in a marsh hex. Marsh does not affect line of sight.
So here's the question: could they have moved there during the uh,
Oh,
pursuit?
wow. You know what?
Is pursuit considered special
That's a
cavalry movement?
that is a actually really good question, and it's possible that no, that wasn't valid. Um, let's see, where would I look to find it? Talk about that. Blocked path, maybe. Let's see, blocked path. Um, retreat path is blocked for the pursuing cavalry if any of these conditions are met. It cannot enter a hex or cross a hex side prohibited to SCM. Yeah. So really,
They couldn't have gone there.
he couldn't have gone there at all.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
All
I'm
right.
I'm glad you thought of that. So
Yeah.
I get
I'll
I
I'll
get
give you I'll give you
I get
one of your
one
units back there.
strength. Oh, you.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Okay. Um. Okay. Now okay. Now that's even more interesting. So so before I only needed to worry about doing close combat against this stack, but now I got this stack to worry about too, which is either good news or bad news depending on your perspective. Um, so I'm still doing movement. So I'm going to move one, and because these are grenadiers, it becomes just two. Actually, be 2-3 because he's in a zone of control there.
Right.
He's in his zone of control, so that's fine. Still gets me what I want. And these guys back here, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. And I gotta admit, I'm taking a little bit of a risk here because my flank's hanging out in the air, out here.
Yeah.
You still got some cavalry, so maybe I can activate this guy and cover his flank. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got options, I guess. And then Winterfeld himself, I don't know. He could come down for fun. Which one of these am I more likely to win? Uh,
I'd put him in against the bigger group there.
I think I'm going to. So I'm going to go ahead and turn him and put him here. So yeah, that looks like a pretty good time for me.
There you go.
So, all right. So we will put both of them in for close combat, and I'm going to go ahead and roll for the Winterfeld stack
Okay.
first. Type B, morale check, no modifiers I can think of. Okay,
All
that
right.
one's
They're going
good, and
in.
the next one is also good.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I'm trying to think. I, it's not a lot of compelling reason. I'm already in your flank. So there's not a lot of compelling reason to do one over another. Um, I can't block your retreat path if I win either one of them.
Right.
So I'll just start with the big one here.
Okay. And this is morale check
So
B for, so I'm disordered. So that's going to be a +5.
+5, yeah.
Um,
You're half dead. That's another 10.
Yep. So that's 15. And then am I outflanked, or is that a different condition? Is
No,
being
no, you
outflanked
are. You
something?
are
Okay,
outflanked. Absolutely. Yeah.
so that's plus 25. And there doesn't seem to be anything else per se.
There's
So,
a leader, so it's plus 22,
okay. So we're
right?
doing this one here first.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's check the
Yeah.
dice. Oh, we're going to pass.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Um, all right. So then there's nothing left to do. There
Yep.
obviously
We
there's
just
no
basically
countercharging.
flip
There's
it over
obviously
and
no
see.
defensive
Yep.
fire. So I've got 12 strength points, and you've got
I've got
2 plus 5 is 7.
12. Yeah. 12 minus. Yep. So 7.
Okay, so it'd be 1.5 to 1 odds. Okay. And then if I flip my guys over, um, oh, well, that's too bad. Yeah, that's fine. So my top unit is a +4, and then Winterfeld adds 2 more on top of that, so that's 6. But I'm attacking you in the flank, so that makes it a 9.
Okay.
Okay.
The attacking on the flank is, where's that at?
That's under
Enfilade. Is that called
enfilade.
enfilade? Okay.
Yep, it's called an active enfilade, or yeah, so it's +3 to the enfilading unit. That's right.
Okay. All right. And then I've got, are we just looking at, well, we're looking at the top 4 units that are defending?
You're looking at the top 4 strength points now. As it happens, both of your units. Oh no, not the same, because the
Yeah.
top unit is only a +2,
Right.
and then the next 2 strength points down the stack are
Oh,
at
plus
+4,
4.
so that averages to 3,
Yep.
and then the leader makes it 4.
Yep.
Oh, you're disordered.
Yeah. So
Oh, I'm sorry. So you're,
instead of 7 increments, I've got 3.5.
oh yeah, so 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So,
the odds are 3 to 1,
yep.
and you've got +4.
Plus 4. And you've got plus
And I've got
9. So the net
+9. So it's
is
3 to 1 plus
plus
5.
5. Right.
Okay.
So this is
All
where
right.
I'm hoping you roll a 0.
Yeah, because you can't ever miss out on some 0 action.
Yep.
Alas and
All
alack.
right. So it's going to be 3 to 1. The result's going to be a net 4. So that's 1d2r.
Okay.
All
One.
right.
I'll take it off of this unit.
Now,
And
do I take the 2r off of the weakest, off of the strongest unit?
um
Or do I split it
so
still?
so I think you round robin it, but starting with the most powerful one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Strength point losses, uh, distribute as evenly as possible among the participating non-artillery units, starting with the largest SP unit involved, and then keep going round and round. So, obviously, in this case, they would each take 1.
Yep. So they can
Okay,
go back then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 puts them back there.
correct.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is where I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more cute. I'm going to advance this one into the hex.
Right.
He doesn't have to maintain that facing because he's not in a zone of control, but
Correct.
I'm going to maintain the facing anyway. And he's disordered, so I'll mark him as disordered. And then I'm flip him. And so he's going to stay in his existing facing, but and the other unit's going to stay there. So it's kind of guarding his flank, because
Right.
if you tried to attack the flank of this unit, you're going to get a face full of lead from this one. So that's
Yep.
the theory behind that. And is he got a disordered on him? Yes, he does. Okay. All right. So that one was good. Now let's try the next one. So we're going here
Yep. So I need to
and
make my morale check.
need to
So I
make your
think we're
morale
looking at
check.
the same. I'm not half dead, but so I'm getting
Right.
outflanked. That's plus 10, and I'm disordered. That's plus 5. So it's plus 15. So we go
Right.
ahead and roll. 68. I
Okay.
still pass. So
Not
we're
a
fine in
not
that
a
regard.
problem. All
Yeah.
right. I've got 11 strength points. You've got again
I've got
7.
4.
So
I'm
it
well,
becomes
7, three
4.
and a half. Yeah, 4.
Yeah. All right. There's strangely there's a 2.5 to 1 on the fire combat table, but not on the close combat table.
Right.
One of those quirks. 11 to 4 is 2 to 1. So that's what we're doing.
Yep.
2 to 1. My guys are 4s plus 3 for being in your flank makes me a 7.
Right.
And you're a
I'm a 4.
4. And I think that's all.
That's
Just
it.
you're just a 4.
Yeah.
You're
Now,
just a 4.
if I had been facing this way, right?
Yeah,
Would I get the +2 for being
you sure would.
medium?
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, you would get the +2 for beating medium cavalry with the enemy in your zone of control.
Okay. So it's not
That's
only during
exactly.
charges, it's also in a case like
That's
this would be the
that's
case.
right.
Right.
Important thing to remember is those cavalry modifiers, including that one,
Right.
and charge impetus, and the enfilade modifiers, all of those only apply to the first round of a close combat. Now, we
Right.
haven't had one go to a second round in this tutorial, but we know it can, right? If you get
Yep.
an MM result and both sides pass their morale check, you go back for another round of combat. None of that cavalry stuff matters. And in fact, are you showing the close combat modifiers? There's one that's really easy to overlook, but is super important if you're thinking about doing cavalry attacking infantry. And that's under formations there.
Right.
So line infantry gets a +2 CV defending against cavalry in refights. So imagine for some reason that during one of your two charges that
Yeah.
the first round was inconclusive. Well,
Yep.
in the second round, not only do you not get your +2 for being medium cavalry, not only do you not get your +3 because you advance 3 hexes, but I get a +2.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that if you're cavalry attacking infantry, boy, you really want to hit hard and win on that first round. Because if you don't win on the first round, it could get ugly fast.
Well, and you can just imagine it's a case where, the horses came up to the infantry, they got shot, they, instead of carrying on, they faltered, and now
Right.
they're just kind of, you know, wheeling around within
Right.
musket range and bayonet range of the
It,
infantry. They don't
yeah.
have the sort of the mass momentum,
And you
and
probably don't have the nice orderliness that you
yep,
had during the charge. And so you're probably exposed to being attacked from more directions. And you can't, I mean, you can swing a saber any way you want, but you can't swing it every way at the same time, right?
yeah, oh,
So
absolutely.
anyway, so just wanted to run that down. Okay, so it's 2 to 1. I'm 7, you're 4. So
4,
it's two
so
to
you got
one
a
plus
plus
three.
3.
Is
Yep,
that right?
yep.
Okay. Well, I will chuck the dice. Oh, this is going to be a
Okay,
challenging
so
one.
that's going to be your 5 plus 3 is going to be an 8, and my
Right.
roll is a 7. So it's a net of 1. So it's a 2 to 1, and the result is a 1.
Just enough
Just
to
enough. And I think
avoid
that's what
the
happened
M.
with the cavalry
Yeah,
charge. Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah,
yeah,
just enough to avoid the MM result.
right.
All right.
So you lose 1 and are disordered, and I lose 1 and I'm routed.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and
Go check
increase
his.
that. All right, and we will flip those guys. And now we've got to move them. back towards, so they got to go back 6 hexes. And as
Right.
far as our retreat routes go, um, we wouldn't necessarily want to go here because that's is
That's
your zone of influence,
well,
right?
it's an enemy zone of control. It's also a friendly unit.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot of reasons you don't want to do it. The retreat rules tell you that you shouldn't modify your retreat based upon friendly units.
right.
It should be avoiding the enemy that caused you the pain,
Yep,
avoiding enemy zones of control, and in as straight a line as possible, and in the general direction of friendliness.
right.
So, for my money, what feels right to me is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's
Yeah,
a straight line that's heading as in as friendly a direction as you can, but doesn't get you into any trouble.
yeah.
Now, obviously, you know,
Oh,
there's
yeah, yeah.
there's not lovely things going on, but I mean, but if you're going to make the retreat a straight line, you couldn't go any further west without
Yes.
running into that enemy zone of control. So that was as
Yeah,
ugly as it is, that's as good as it gets.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now I've got to decide what I'm going to do. Do I just want to advance both of them in there? Uh, yeah, maybe. All right. I'll go ahead and advance both of them in because that's a friendly unit there too.
Yep.
So yeah, I still got a nice coherent looking line there. And Winterfeld I'll leave flipped over, and so that's that.
Well,
So
there you go. So
that was
we've done a little bit of what cavalry against infantry, and I think we have demonstrated the possible responses for both a formation change for the infantry,
yep.
and the defensive fire
Or
capabilities.
just stand and fire.
Yep,
That's
just
right.
stand and
Yep.
fire. We've looked at the pursuit, and then we've also looked at obviously the aftermath, the
The
vulnerability.
dangers
Yep,
the dangers of letting somebody counterattack you.
yep, yep.
Yeah, and so actually that's an interesting point. You said this earlier, and I think you probably were right. It might have been better to let Winterfeld activate because then it would have given you a better chance of getting to activate next during the following turn and
Yes,
maybe get away clean.
yeah, yeah. Because what I was thinking was, if I, uh, had done the charge and stuff is there, then I would have done a voluntary route and gotten those guys out that were adjacent to you or
Oh
within
yeah.
range, and then they would have bugged out, and you wouldn't
That's
have gotten the opportunity fire on them
that's a
as
really good
as they
choice.
get
Yes.
away. But
Especially
as
with
it
really
was,
good troops like that, a
yep,
voluntary route is not very likely to be problematic because they'll probably be able to recover pretty quick.
yeah.
Yeah. That's something it's really easy to forget is voluntary route. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Well, and I learned it the hard way at Colon because I
Yes.
had that one unit
Yes.
that you just, he'd done it, he'd done a charge or he was moving or whatever,
Yeah.
and he's there, and you just marched right up to him,
Yeah.
and then when I went to move him out, you shot at him, blew half of him away,
Absolutely.
shot at
Yeah.
him, blew the other half of him away. I was just like,
That's right.
it's like, oh, okay, well, that was a nice unit.
If you had voluntarily routed, then you would have gotten away without me shooting at you. And yeah,
Yeah.
definitely in that circumstance, when you're a dead man walking,
Yep.
voluntary route's probably a good idea. Okay, so the only other things that I think we ought to cover, because we're coming up on 2 hours now,
Yep.
is that I've now activated somebody in the detachment because
Correct.
Winterfeld's command was in the detachment, which means that I've got either the medium cavalry that's just to the south that
Yep.
would be an activation, and frankly, probably one I'd want to do next because there's a lot of combat going on in that area. I've got a lot of shaken and disordered units I'd like to get undisordered and
Right.
maybe make a little bit more of a line. Because there's still a lot of enemy troops in the area that I would want to coordinate that. And then the other ones are the infantry units that are farther north out there in the middle of the field. That'd be
Yep.
Harchemoys and four 4K.
4K.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
um,
Schwerin's guys. Yep.
And I definitely would need to do those at that point because they're part of the detachment. So I would do them first unless there was just a profound emergency that required me to go get Zeton or go do something farther north. But frankly, right now, the way the map looks, there's not a disaster anywhere else that would
Right.
require that activation in that way. Um, so I think that was a really successful session. I hope we had not only the opportunity to talk about the high level stuff, but also to get to talk about the infantry versus cavalry combat that we didn't
Yep.
do before.
Yep. No, I think that that was good. And of course, one of the things that if you're a Napoleonics player or you play some later ones, um, you'll see that there's the coordination of the sort of um, combined arms is not as easy with these armies. Um, so, they at this point in time they don't have horse artillery attached
Right,
to these cavalry brigades. Um,
right,
in which case, then you'd come up and you'd get the other guy to form square, and you roll up some guns or this or that, or you could roll up the guns to help cover the guys that just charge, or there's any number of things that could
right.
have held you in check. So we don't always have that same interplay of the combined arms.
That's
Um,
true.
the way I'm looking at it is, okay, maybe in a subsequent turn, right? These guys that are here can bug out, and then I'll have a line of sight on you from the guns that are up here in this
You
readout.
bet.
And then you've got some units that are bigger stacks, better
Yep.
pluses. Maybe I'll get some hits on those grenadiers, kind of a thing. But it's
And
not
actually,
quite, so it has a little bit of that interplay, but it's not quite as fluid
exactly.
situation as you have with the Napoleonic
Yeah.
era.
Artillery is slow. In fact, I'd almost even argue that artillery on the attack is nearly useless. Um,
Yes.
because it's fragile until you get it unlimbered. You don't ever want to let limbered artillery get hit by the enemy because it could just shred it.
Yep.
So you want to limber it before it is in any real danger, but then it moves super duper slowly thereafter, much slower than the infantry does because you got, men and horses trying to drag these things once they've already been unlimbered, and it's slow.
Yep.
Um, so it's obviously very helpful on the defense. And by the way, in this battle, Prague specifically, it's very helpful on the defense because the earthworks enhance the capabilities of the guns. Being up on the heights enhances the capabilities of the guns. And by the way, remember how one of my grenadiers already had a hit?
Yep.
That was from those guns that you were
Yeah.
pointing
Yeah.
at. Even though they're kind of a long way off with those die roll modifiers, it turns out that they were still able to
Yep.
start
Chip away a
blinking.
little bit at a time. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, you're right. It's a very different vibe than a Napoleonic battle. Um, a little less dynamic interplay between the three. But you're right. What did I do when I wanted to chase away your cavalry? I stacked up big.
Yep.
What's your artillery going to do? Look for the biggest stack and hit them, right?
Yep.
So yeah,
Well, good. I think we kind of covered it. And then for those of you that are watching at home, the sort of thing that would carry on would be we just keep rolling for activations.
that's right.
We would then take turns as far as whose activation comes up. If we got a result where the initiative die roll exceeded 10, we would then move the turn marker down until and we keep playing through this turn until either one of two things happen. One, we use up all of our activations on both sides, or the end of the turn marker gets down to the end of the turn segment on the track.
And then we'd just have limited activations
Yep.
thereafter. Yeah,
Yep. And then we would finish up any other commands that hadn't already gone with limited activations, and
right.
then we would move on to the morale recovery phase,
The rally phase
the
where
rally phase. Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
both have lots of guys who are looking forward to that rally
Yep.
phase now.
So that's routed people and shaken people, and you roll for shaken first
That's right.
and then routed second. And unlike, say, La Bataille, where you go straight from being routed to perfect order, In this one, you go from routed to shaken and disordered, and then
Oh,
right?
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
so it's minimum of 2 turns to
yeah.
become back to proper good
Exactly.
order
Yeah,
after routing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, I'd
that's one
forgotten
of the
about
things
that
that's a little
once.
different. That Labatai, you recover from route, boom, you're golden, everything's fine and dandy. With this, you're shaken and disordered,
Yeah.
and then the next, I mean, you might be the next time your formation is activated, you have a chance to roll to get the disordered cleared, but then you don't
Right.
roll for the shaken to be removed until the
Until the
next
next rally
turn's
phase. So,
rally phase. So
yeah.
usually,
And
if you're
so,
routed, it's going to take you, if you're lucky, it's going to take you, 2 turns to get back to some semblance of order.
and really, the
And
other thing to think about is if we look at those grenadiers of mine that routed away,
yep,
um, one of them is 6 strength points, but has lost two. And the other one is six. Well, actually, they're both six
yeah,
strength points and have lost two. So they're probably kind of a counterexample to what I'm going to say. But it's kind of common that by the time you're routed, you might easily be half dead.
yes,
And so it's going to take you 2 turns to get back into good order. And you're still kind of permanently damaged because of the whole +10 on morale checks. And if you didn't succeed on your first rally attempt, you might be 4 more hexes to the rear, which means you're well out of command range, which means your ability to march back is going to be inhibited because you're going to be out of command. So you're going to move a little slower. So, yeah, once you route, it's an easy hour before we probably are going to see you again
yeah, at
in
least,
combat. And that's
yep,
just kind of a cycle you just got to think through.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of the general ebb and flow of things there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from the point of view of the cavalry charging the infantry, you're only going to do it if the targets that you're coming after and the formations you're going after have already suffered some sort of damage. Maybe
Yeah.
they've already taken some hits from artillery, or they've been engaged with infantry, and you're like coming down the line. Your infantry, their infantry are fighting, and you're coming around and catching those guys in the flank when they can't do much about it, because if they go into
Right.
square, they're going into square right next to, infantry. I mean, it's just, you're kind of
Oh
doomed.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's
so
that's not a good
yeah,
situation.
yeah. So a cavalry charge shouldn't do it against sort of formed infantry. That's
Yeah.
that's healthy. But
Yeah.
the,
So
we at least
to a great degree, what you did was a lot of fun to watch, but maybe not really a great idea.
nah. But we
Yeah.
needed to do it for the sake of, we're doing it for the viewers. We're
We're
doing it for the viewers,
we're
Michael.
doing it for science.
Yes, for science, indeed,
Yes,
indeed. Plus, I
absolutely.
had so much luck when we did the cavalry tutorial. I figured I wasn't going to be able to have that same luck again. That's where I was, just pulling all kinds of wonderful rolls, die rolls, and results, completely,
Well,
completely
it was
unexpected.
good. I mean, we both got a chance to smack each other pretty hard, so that was good.
Exactly.
That was fun, right?
Yeah, yeah. All
All
right.
right.
Well, I think that takes care of things. Those of you that have been tuning in, thanks for tuning in. Those of you that are watching this after the broadcast, if you have questions, go ahead and post them in the comments section. And Michael and I will do our best to try to answer those for you. If you haven't done so already, we've got on Facebook, if you are brave enough to be on social media, there is a Clash of Arms Battle of the Age of Reason Facebook page, and you can go there and ask to join the group. And we post different after action reports there. People
Mm-hmm.
post questions there. Ed Wimble from Clash of Arms has been posting updates on the production
Right.
and soon to be distribution of the Battles of Quebec. So that would be a place that you could go to see things and interact with other players. And then I would just say tune in for our continuing action. We're playing Germantown, double blind, in the fog, in the snow, in the whatever. It's pretty
Not
bad.
not really snow, I don't
Not
think,
really
but
snow, not yet. It's
this and
snow that
any
has
snow
not
would be
frozen yet.
like inside our heads.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You can join us for that. And then if you want to see this particular game, go to the live streams, go to the playlist, and you'll see a playlist of the live stream of Prague dating back to the starting one was probably back sometime in 2023.
Yeah.
And just start with that and just watch through that. What I usually do when I'm watching playthroughs and of stuff that it's a 2 hour long stretch or whatever, I just set YouTube to ×2 speed.
Yeah.
And that way you can kind of get through stuff pretty fast, or set it to 1.5 speed, so you can kind of watch through it pretty quickly, and get an idea of kind of how this whole played out and how we got to the situation we were at the beginning of this tutorial. So, anything else, Michael?
I think that's it.
All
Mission
right,
accomplished.
everybody. Yeah, mission accomplished indeed. Thanks for tuning in. And until our next episode, everybody, be well.
Bye-bye.